はい。今日は一緒に働いている移民弁護士クリスの事務所を紹介しようと思います。事務所に入ります。今からクリスに質問をしてみようと思います。はい、こんにちは。たくさん質問していこうと思います。Okay, let's start it.
Okay.
So we want to know about, first about you. We want to know about you. So about you. So how long have you, practiced immigration law?
I've been practicing immigration law since 2009, so almost 15 years. I was an attorney before. I was an attorney since 2001, and I did litigation. And so when I came into immigration law in 2009, I looked at immigration very differently than most people that were practicing. I was looking at it as if I was going to present a case to a judge rather than to an officer. And so I made sure that everything was set up and lined up. And whenever I get something new, I look at how we can make changes to it to make it better, to get it easier for an officer to approve the case. And I've been very, very successful in that. And in fact, when I go to immigration conferences, there are plenty of times where I've heard them say that they're trying to do something new, that they've only started doing it for like 2 weeks or a month. And it's something that I've been doing for 2 years because I'm really looking at how the officer will review it as if I thought it was a judge or a jury who was going to review it, and making sure we made the right steps, provided the right evidence, provided the right documentation to make it easier for the person who is making that final decision to make that decision on behalf of my client. So it's an approved request.
Okay, great. So you enjoy this immigration law more than that,
I do enjoy immigration law because I know that I know no one really leaves their country unless there's a reason to do so. And I understand that they're putting their lives in the firm's hands. And I take that very, very seriously. So my goal has always been to focus on getting the case approved so that the client and his family or her family can move to the United States and do what they wanted to do that they were unable to do in their home country. So I do take joy in that because I understand I am helping other people's lives. I'm helping make their lives better. And that is kind of what the purpose of my life is to help people become what they want to be in life.
Okay. So maybe this is the next question. What makes you different from another lawyer? Maybe you have,
What makes me different than other lawyers is a variety of different things. Number one, again, I'm looking and focusing on what can I do to make sure that their case gets approved. I'm not looking at this for money. I'm not looking at it for any other reason but to make sure that I can file something that I believe an officer will approve. And before I submit the request, I review it as if I was the officer, looking for ways to see what would I want to see if I was the officer. What do I need to see in order to approve the request? That's one way. Another thing that I do very differently is I'm constantly changing things. I'm not looking at, just because it worked in the past doesn't mean it's going to work in the future. So if I start getting requests for additional documents from immigration, I start looking at why they're requesting it, what they're requesting. And if I see a pattern, I immediately change my strategy on how I'm submitting the request to make it easier for the officer to get approved, to approve the case. I'm very conservative. I don't think, I am willing to try new things and do new things, but I'm only going to do it if I feel like the officer is going to approve the case.
Okay. So maybe this is your passion. I was going to ask, what are you most passionate about? I mean, maybe your personal life, or maybe this is also a passion.
I enjoy practicing immigration law. I enjoy doing, submitting these requests and getting people. But my passion, honestly, is the Bible and studying the Bible, reading the Bible, learning about the Bible.
Okay. So, how do you spend your time?
What do you mean?
Your weekend, or you going to church?
Okay, so like this past weekend, okay, so this Friday night I went to the movies with some friends.
Nice.
Saturday morning I got up and played golf.
I didn't know that you play golf.
I do play golf. It was an interesting round this weekend.
Where do you go?
I go to a course up in Boca. We play every Saturday morning, at like around 8:30 every Saturday morning, the same course. And we play games and do things like that. So, you know, there is like money that's being exchanged at the end of it. And I had dinner with a friend, got up Sunday, prepared for the Bible study that I'm teaching this week, spoke to my children, went to church, and had lunch with a friend and his family, and then after that just focused on ways to improve myself. Reading, studying, you know, those were things that, preparing for the week, doing the things I could do on Sunday from home that would allow me to focus entirely on what I needed to do this week. So like, what I do during my free time, I spend time with friends, I golf, I read. You know, those are my biggest things, is and seeing how like I can improve my life, so I can take what I learn and help others improve theirs.
It sounds like you have a great balance. You know, it's hard. You know, a lot of times it's harder to balance the personal life with you know, and then your professional life. Do you think how do you balance your personal life and your professional life?
That's a tricky question. I think that when I want to work, I focus on work, and so I can work from home in the morning, do things before I come into the office, and when I come to the office, I'm focused on work. But when I leave the office, I 95% of the time put it aside. I don't think about it anymore. I then start thinking about other things. I start thinking about, you know, outside interests. So like on Saturdays when I go to play golf with friends, I never talk about work. I never even think about work. I never look at it. Which is why I actually have like two cell phones, one for work, one for my personal life. And when, you know, and I will turn off my, you know, business phone if I'm going to be focusing on the personal life. That's the only way I think that you do it. Understand that you have to compartmentalize. I know that's a little bit easier for men than it is for women, unfortunately. But that's how I do it. That you know, once I leave the office, the work is gone. You know, I do make exceptions every now and then, but that's typically how I try to focus on it.
I think that's the best way to do it.
Live in the moment. Focus on what you're doing. So if you are, you know, at home with your family, focus on your family. You know, I've done a lot of reading about the mind. I realize that you know, when you need to be present. So let's say if I'm going out to dinner with someone, I'll turn my phone, I will have my phone off. I'll put it on Do Not Disturb. I will do something like that where I'm just focusing on that other person. And because, you know, we have so many distractions in life today, the only way we really can find the balance that we're doing is live in the moment, live in the present, you know, focus your attention on whatever you're doing at that particular time. It could be anything, you know, when you're, you know, anything. If you're playing with your kids, focus on your kids, put your phone aside, don't look at it. You know, there's various tricks that you can do. Like my phone at 9:15 every night, except on weekends, it turns off. I don't see any notifications. You can email me, you can text me, you can call me. I don't get it. I think that's the only way you can really do it. Focus on the no.
That's the best advice. Okay. And how would you describe your personality?
My personality?
Yeah.
I'm a realist. I'm authentic. What you see is what you get. I don't don't hide anything. If you are in my personal circle, you know my weaknesses. I'll tell you. I'll tell you what I'm doing to work on myself. But I'm also optimistic. I mean, I am creative. I look for solutions. I look for ways to make things better. If I feel something's not working, you know, I will make the change. And I'm here to support people. I'm looking for ways to lift people up. And I believe that whoever comes across my path is there for a reason. And I believe that they have the ability within them to do whatever they want to do. And if I can help them get to their goals, I'll be more than happy to listen and see what I can do to help them move forward. So, you know, real, authentic, and optimistic and creative. Is that good?
Oh, 素晴らしい、素晴らしい。Okay. So, what do you hope to accomplish in the future?
There's a lot of different things. That's a loaded question. One thing I want to do in the future is I want to create a law firm that I can replicate and give it to other attorneys that are struggling to figure out how they can improve their lives and improve the lives of their clients. So the idea is kind of like making a operations manual, like a franchise operational manual that can then be provided to other attorneys. I'm only one person. I know I can't do everything on my own, so I need to be able to replicate it to give it to other people so that they can grow and help their clients. Because it's not important to me whether or not I'm your attorney or somebody else is your attorney. What is important to me is that the people are doing the job well. And I want to take the knowledge I have, replicate it, and give it to others. So my idea is kind of like building up, like, I guess you would call it like a franchise type system. You know, that's what I look for professionally.
Okay. Like how long, you know, you're looking at, like 5 years?
Well, I've already started putting into place different policies, different procedures, different how-tos. I'm doing recordings on trainings and things like that. So I'm building up a database for it. But yeah, I'm looking at within the next 5 years being able to roll this out to be able to give to other attorneys and other, young attorneys, old attorneys, seasoned attorneys. I mean, I've worked with all sorts of attorneys from different ages and different things, and I see how they do things and how I do things. And honestly, the way I do things is differently. I'm not saying necessarily it's always 100% better. It's just different. But I have been extremely successful in what I've done with filing cases and making sure that people get approved. And I know that speaking to other attorneys, you know, some of them have approval rates around mine, but I've seen plenty that do not. And when I see their work, I see why. So, you know, this would be a way to help them build up their approval rates and make them, you know, and make their clients more successful.
素晴らしいです。